The P-8 Poseidon will patrol and hunt submarines over the seas for the next 50 years, which we call the Second Cold War. This aircraft has significant advantages over its predecessor, the P-3 Orion. But can it be described as a new generation maritime patrol aircraft? As the weapon detective, we are investigating the answer to this question. The P-8 Poseidon may not be as sexy as the F-22, F-35, Rafale, or Eurofighter Typhoon. It is an ordinary maritime patrol aircraft combining a regular airliner and a state-of-art electronics and sensors. But in contrast with this simplicity, the P-8 has high military value as new generation fighters. The story of the P-8 goes back to the 1980s when the US Navy had begun a study on a new maritime patrol aircraft to replace the P-3 Orion. In 1989, Washington awarded Lockheed with a fixed-price contract to develop the P-7. But after the end of the First Cold War, the program lost its urgency. Besides, in the new unipolar world, the threat perception changed. This caused an uncertainty on the mission definition of the new maritime aircraft. So the USA canceled the contract in 1990. 10 years later, Washington started a second program for the replacement of the P-3. This time, Lockheed Martin and Boeing were competitors. In 2004, Boeing became the winner of the program with the P-8 Poseidon, which combines the proven fuselage of the Boeing 737-800 and the wings of the Boeing 737-900. In 2005, the backswept wingtips of the aircraft replaced the previous blended winglets. The P-8 performed its maiden flight on April 25, 2009. 3 years later, the aircraft became operational in the US Navy. Australia, Germany, India, New Zealand, Norway, South Korea, the UK, and the USA are the users of the aircraft. The 9-person crew of the P-8A Poseidon consists of a pilot, co-pilot, and 7 mission system operators. The aircraft has a length of nearly 39.5 meters, a wingspan of 37.6 meters, and a height of 13 meters. Its empty weight is 62.73 tons, while its maximum takeoff weight is about 85.82 tons. Two 120.1 kN CFM56 7B27A turbofan engines provide a maximum speed of over 900 km per hour. The aircraft can climb an altitude of nearly 12,500 meters, in other words 41,000 feet. The P-8A has 5 hardpoints in its internal bay as well as 6 external hardpoints. It can carry the AGM-84 Harpoon anti-ship missiles, Mark 54 torpedoes, mines, and depth charges. Except for the I versions for India, the P-8s do not have a magnetic anomaly detector, shortly MAD. The Indian Poseidons, called the P-8I, has MAD, so this model is therefore 1.5 meters longer. A massive ferromagnetic material, such as a submarine, creates a detectable disturbance in the Earth's magnetic field. MAD is a tool that can detect this ailment, so it is remarkably effective for finding a submerged submarine. The US Navy claims that the acoustic sensor system of the aircraft is reportedly more effective at acoustic tracking. Thus, lacking a MAD won't impede its detection capabilities. However, it is reported that the US Navy is developing a variant of an unmanned aerial vehicle called the High Altitude Unmanned Targeting Air System, which can carry a MAD sensor and transmit its findings to the P-8. The Poseidon can already be operated in conjunction with the MQ-4C Triton Maritime Surveillance Unmanned Aerial Vehicle. The AN/APY-10 radar of the aircraft can detect an object with a cross-sectional area of 54 square meters in a sea state 3. It can also detect an object with a radar cross-section area of 10,000 square meters from a range of 370 kilometers. The radar allows tracking 256 targets simultaneously, including small ones such as periscopes. The Advanced Airborne Sensor, shortly AAS, will replace the APS-143 littoral surveillance radar system of the P-8. The AAS provides multifunction moving target detection and tracking and high-resolution ground mapping at standoff range covering land, littoral, and water areas. With near 360-degree coverage, it has a double-sided active electronically scanned array radar which contains a moving target indicator, synthetic-aperture radar, and inverse synthetic-aperture radar. Synthetic-aperture radar can create 2-dimensional images and 3-dimensional reconstructions of objects. The inverse synthetic aperture radar is the name of a radar technique using radar imaging to generate a 2-dimensional high-resolution image of a target. It has a significant role aboard maritime patrol aircraft to provide them with radar images of sufficient quality which allow target recognition. Moving target indication is a mode of operation of a radar to discriminate a target against the clutter and find moving objects. Thus, the AIS can scan, detect, map, track, and classify targets nearly simultaneously on land and sea together. The radar can profile vessels from a long distance and generate good resolution without relying on optical sensors, especially day or night and in adverse weather conditions. Some sources claim that the AIS is sensitive enough to pick up a formation of people moving over open terrain. The APS-143 Ocean Eye synthetic-aperture radar of I version has 360-degree coverage. It can detect a target with a radar cross-section of 1 square meter at a range of 370 kilometers. The German P-8 will have locally developed mission packages. The P-8 can loiter at a speed of 333 kilometers per hour over the sea at 60 meters. The aircraft can only use the boom in-flight refueling method. Australia, South Korea, and the USA have tanker aircraft with the boom system. Currently, other 5 users of the Poseidon cannot extend the endurance of these aircraft by in-flight refueling. However, Norway will acquire a single A330 MRTT which also has a boom system. The Royal New Zealand Air Force does not have a tanker aircraft. The German A310 MRTTs and the Indian Il-78s have hose and drogue aerial refueling systems. Neither the Voyager KC-2s nor KC-3s of the Royal Air Force has the boom aerial refueling system. However, in 2016, the UK stated its interest in the idea of fitting the system to at least some of the tanker aircraft fleet. After the First Cold War, the Western world was relieved from the Soviet Navy threat. So, the maritime patrol aircraft lost their importance a little bit. But the Second Cold War has begun hard on the seas. The Chinese sea power is rapidly growing. Since the early 2010s, Russia has accelerated its investments in the Navy. Many countries bordering Indian Ocean that didn't have any submarines 20 years ago now have submarines. As if that wasn't enough, the pirates now threaten the most important sea lines more than ever. All these facts have increased the importance of maritime patrol aircraft once again. Still, the operational experience of the Poseidon so far has been considerably smooth. The US P-8As patrol near China regularly. In 2014, a Chinese J-11 fighter came within 30 feet of a US P-8A about 250 kilometers east of Hainan Island while patrolling the South China Sea. Additionally, a Pentagon spokesperson said the J-11 units had made close intercepts earlier that year. Naturally, these events have made the USA anxious. The dangerous maneuvers the Chinese aircraft carried out at close range reminded the EP-3E, which was forced to land in Hainan in 2001. The Poseidon worries the rivals of the USA at the other end of the world. In 2016, a Russian Su-30 fighter dangerously intercepted a P-8. There is a reason why the Russian Air Force is acting so harshly. According to the military blog of The Aviationist, in 2016, the Poseidons detected and engaged 1 or 2 Oscar-class submarines in the Mediterranean. Unlike the USA, India's experiences are not on the sea but on the land. This country uses Poseidons for observing Doklam standoff near the China border and Pulwama standoff near the Pakistan border. It would be helpful to make a note here. The use of maritime patrol aircraft on land is not a new situation. In 1987, France operated a single Atlantic as an airborne headquarters during Operation Épervier, the French intervention against Libyan military units in Chad. Also, during the 1999 Kosovo War, France used these aircraft for surveillance missions over Serbia. In 2013, French Navy Atlantique II even dropped laser-guided GBU-12 bombs on jihadist militants in Mali. In 2015, these aircraft bombed ISIL targets in Syria. Like the Atlantic, the US P-3s were used for battle space surveillance on land over Iraq in the late 1990s and early 2000s. Also, the Pakistani Orions conducted the same mission during the Kargil conflict. Of course, there are so many other examples, but briefly, the use of maritime patrol aircraft on land is increasing day by day. In fact, the USA realized this situation and demanded that the ground observation ability of the P-8 to be high during the development process. As we mentioned, the design of the aircraft is based on the proven Boeing 737 commercial airliner. But we want to draw attention to something. The P-3 was based on the L-188 Electra, which made its first flight in 1957. Thus, you can see that in the overall plane design, the P-8 has only a 10-year advantage over the P-3. Still, this is a wise choice. The Boeing 737 made its first flight in 1967. Since then, Boeing has produced more than 10,000 pieces of them. Due to using a pre-existing airframe, development proceeded relatively smoothly. Also, the USA had decided to receive the P-8's advanced systems gradually rather than acquiring them all at once. This led the P-8 unit cost to stay under the initial budget plan. Besides, the fact that the US Navy has already been using the Boeing 737-based C-40 Clipper brought a significant logistical advantage. It also applies to other P-8 users. Australia, South Korea, and the UK are the users of the Boeing 737-based E-7 early warning and command aircraft. In fact, this was not the first time that the highly successful commercial airliner Boeing 737 used as a military maritime patrol aircraft. Before the P-8, in 1982, Indonesia modified 3 Boeing 737s as maritime patrol aircraft to hinder pirate activities. However, unlike the Poseidon, the Indonesian aircraft, called the Boeing 737-2X9 Surveyor or PUNU, do not have a weapon capacity. 5 airline companies in Australia have more than 150 Boeing 737s. 4 companies with 118 aircraft in India, 2 companies with 13 aircraft in New Zealand, 2 companies with 162 aircraft in Norway, 5 companies with 106 aircraft in South Korea, 5 companies with 134 aircraft in the UK, and 15 companies with 1,780 aircraft in the USA need to add. Considering these numbers and the global success of the Boeing 737, the P-8 is one of the easiest maintainable military aircraft, providing easy access to spare parts and technical personnel. But it is too big for many countries that do not have a coast to the oceans and are interested in procuring new sea patrol aircraft. So, despite the obvious advantages of the P-8, they would prefer the smallest platform based on light cargo aircraft, regional airliners, or business jets. As you see, the P-8 is not a new generation maritime patrol aircraft. It is just a successful good old airliner equipped with the next generation electronic and combat systems. These new generation electronic systems can also be integrated into many different aircraft. So, they can also have the abilities to the P-8 by sacrificing a bit of combat radius and weapon carrying capacities. Thanks for watching our video. And please don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give us a thumbs up if you liked our video. To be notified of our new videos, please click the bell button. Also, you can now click the join button to support our channel.